Remember those Saturday mornings when you strolled down your local high street, and every shop seemed like a familiar friend? Each one had a recognizable name, a distinct purpose, and a special role in your daily life that you couldn't imagine ever losing. Woolworths was where you'd head for your pick and mix treats. Then there was Blockbuster, the go-to place for your Friday night movie binge. And Our Price was the destination for snapping up the latest hit single. However, over time, these once iconic establishments vanished from our streets. This narrative explores the tales of 13 such beloved shops that are now just a memory, and here's a twist for you: not all of them faded due to failure. One simply packed its bags and left Britain without a word. Imagine stepping into a Woolworths in 1975. It was like entering an eclectic wonderland where you could find practically anything you needed. There were school uniforms displayed alongside garden tools, a pick-and-mix candy section next to light bulbs, and records just a short stroll away from goldfish bowls. It was a charming chaos, all under one roof, that somehow worked flawlessly. Frank Woolworth introduced his first British store to the folks of Liverpool back in 1909, bringing with him the American concept of the five and dime. By the 50s, Woolworths was a towering presence on every high street, boasting over 1,000 locations. The iconic red and white sign was as commonplace as the post office, embedded in the national landscape. However, Woolworths' broad yet shallow inventory gradually became its Achilles heel. Instead of honing expertise in one area, it dabbled in them all. When Argos presented a better selection of toys, when Tesco managed to offer more affordable household goods, and when HMV captured the music market, Woolworths found itself unable to maintain its footing. The financial crash of 2008 dealt the final blow. On January 6, 2009, the last of the 807 Woolworths stores shut their doors for good, resulting in over 27,000 job losses right after the festive season. High streets across Britain bid farewell to the cornerstone shop that everyone frequented. Typically, next door to Woolworths, you'd find C&A, a hub of vibrant clothing rails, bold fashion statements, and affordable garments that didn't masquerade as anything they'd never claimed to be. C&A made its UK debut in 1922, introducing British shoppers to a touch of Dutch flair. Fast forward to the 1980s, and the chain had expanded to over 100 stores nationwide. Teens donned the Clockhouse brand, attempting to mimic a grown-up look, while man at C&A became both a badge of fashion and an occasional jest, depending on who was sporting it. What truly set C&A apart was its seemingly paradoxical exit. Despite bustling stores, steady profits, and quality that satisfied, the company chose to bow out in 2000. Without a hint or a wave goodbye, the Dutch owners simply shifted focus to stronger European markets, abruptly leaving Britain behind. Then there's the story of British Home Stores, which opened its doors in 1928 as a practical, value-driven alternative to Marks & Spencer, promising similar quality at a slightly lower price. By the 1970s, it had woven itself into the fabric of everyday life. School uniforms that withstood the playground, lighting that stood the test of time, and cafes serving hearty meals were all part of the BHS package. It was a cherished part of the weekly shopping routine, often located near a Woolworths. BHS thrived for decades. Families placed their trust in it for all substantial purchases, from three-piece suites to durable children's clothing. But the narrative took a sharp turn in 2000 when Sir Philip Green acquired BHS for £200 million, vowing to drive investment and usher in growth. Instead, he drained its lifeblood. By 2015, Green sold the chain to Dominic Chappell for a mere £1, a paltry sum for an institution that had served Britain reliably for 87 years. Chappell, lacking any retail experience, would later land in prison for tax fraud. By 2016, British Home Stores, BHS, a retail giant, completely collapsed under the weight of financial strain. This once thriving retail chain was forced to close the doors of all its 163 stores, resulting in a significant economic upheaval. The sudden shuttering didn't just affect the stores themselves, it left 11,000 employees abruptly out of work, facing an uncertain future. Yet, perhaps the most harrowing blow was dealt to the pension fund. A staggering deficit of £571 million meant that approximately 20,000 employees and retirees were looking at drastically reduced pension benefits, shattering their retirement plans and financial security. This severe situation prompted parliamentary investigations, which denounced the debacle as the unacceptable face of capitalism, criticising the practices and decisions that led to this downfall. Despite Sir Philip Green, the former owner of BHS, eventually making a £363 million payment to help plug the pension deficit, the damage had already permeated too deeply for many individuals affected. The narrative of BHS was not one of failure due to market competition or changes in consumer behavior. Instead, it was a story marred by unchecked greed and financial mismanagement that led to its unfortunate demise. Turning the clock back to the 1970s, during a time when television ownership was not as widespread, offers a glimpse into a different kind of business environment. In that era, purchasing a color television set was a considerable financial commitment, equivalent to 3 months' worth of wages, a luxury most families could not afford outright. As a result, television rentals became a popular and practical alternative. Companies like Radio Rentals dominated the scene, having already established a strong foothold in the market since the 1930s. Walking past a Radio Rentals branch back then, one would be greeted by a window display of about 20 televisions, all tuned to the same channel, projecting the same captivating program. This was not only a marketing spectacle but also an enticement for families to opt for renting. The decision to rent was fueled not only by cost considerations but also by practicality. Early television sets were notorious for their technical issues. Valves would frequently burn out, and picture tubes would fail. However, with a rental agreement from Radio Rentals, customers enjoyed the peace of mind that came with inclusive repair services. If a television broke down, a skilled engineer would arrive promptly to fix the set at no additional cost. The landscape shifted dramatically in 1969 with the boom in color television, transforming the rental business as demand for color sets surged. Radio Rentals and similar companies capitalized on this trend, further embedding themselves in the fabric of everyday life by making the latest technology accessible to the average household. Suddenly, there was an overwhelming demand for color televisions, but the steep prices made it difficult for many people to own one. This is where Radio Rentals stepped in with an affordable solution that caught the attention of the masses. They introduced a model with weekly payments, requiring no initial deposit, and even included repairs in their package. By the 1980s, Radio Rentals had become a household name, expanding their reach significantly with over 700 stores across the nation. However, as technology advanced, television sets improved drastically, prices started to decrease, and owning a TV became more economical than renting. This innovation spelled the end for the rental model because TVs were no longer prone to frequent breakdowns. By the early 2000s, Radio Rentals had evolved into BoxClever, shifting its focus towards offering insurance, and their once bustling stores gradually closed without much fanfare. Fast forward to a typical Friday night in 1995. A different kind of excitement took over as people flocked to Blockbuster. The iconic blue and yellow sign was a beacon of entertainment, glowing brightly against the night sky as automatic doors welcomed movie lovers into a world lined with walls of VHS tapes. Blockbuster had burst onto the British scene in 1989, introducing an American-style video rental excitement to every high street. Within just 10 years, it had grown to over 400 stores throughout the UK, becoming synonymous with weekend plans. Friday nights weren't just about watching a movie, they were a communal experience. People roamed the aisles, examining titles, and getting into good-natured arguments with friends over what to watch. The new releases wall often stood half empty, a testament to the popular titles that were swiftly snatched up. Latecomers experienced the frenzy of choosing from the less desirable options left behind. Despite the hassle of late fees, which were universally loathed, customers inevitably parted with their cash, adding to the millions Blockbuster earned from those who failed to return tapes on time, a strategy that eventually sparked the resentment contributing to their downfall. In the year 2000, Blockbuster faced a monumental decision when approached by Netflix, a fledgling DVD by post service offering to sell themselves for a mere $50 million. Blockbuster dismissed the offer with laughter, a move that would later be recognized as a crucial misstep. As Netflix adapted to the digital age and streaming technology gained steam, Blockbuster's adherence to physical stores and their infamous late fees rendered them obsolete. By 2013, the dramatic closure of all UK Blockbuster locations marked the end of not just a business but also an era. It signified the demise of the shared Friday night movie ritual, where people would gather to browse shelves and experience collective anticipation for the same films. Although Netflix provided unparalleled access to an expansive library, it subtly stole the unique, magical experience that Blockbuster had offered. Meanwhile, while Blockbuster catered to film enthusiasts, MFI was busy changing the dynamics of home decor. Launching in 1964 before IKEA even set foot in the UK, MFI positioned itself as the go-to destination for affordable, flat-pack furniture that families could assemble themselves. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, MFI transformed domestic life, making once rare modern amenities accessible to working families. A stroll through their store could lead to a contemporary kitchen upgrade, a brand new dining set, or fitted wardrobes, all at a price that didn't break the bank. However, the journey from box to furnished room wasn't always smooth sailing. The struggle was real. The smell of sawdust mingled with the hunt for missing Allen keys and the deciphering of instructions that often seemed written in a foreign language. Frustration was part of the process, but the reward was a stylish, self-assembled home that mirrored modern-day aesthetics. By the 1980s, MFI had a solid grasp on the market with over 200 stores, their furniture filling new housing developments across the country. Despite its early success, MFI's reputation suffered due to persistent quality issues, chipboard that bloated with moisture, faulty hinges, and unreliable delivery services. Enter IKEA in 1987, bringing with it a flat-pack revolution. With chic designs, superior quality, and clearly written assembly guides, IKEA made MFI appear outdated and inferior. The fatal blow for MFI came with the financial crisis in 2008, which drastically reduced consumer spending on home improvements. Unable to weather the storm, MFI collapsed, leading to the closure of 150 shops and the loss of 3,000 jobs. As the first pioneer in flat-pack furniture, MFI ultimately succumbed to a competitor that did it better, paving the way for IKEA's rise to dominance. As part of the retail landscape's evolution, Topshop began its journey in 1964 as a small department within the Peter Robinson department store, poised to make its own historical mark. By the time the 1970s rolled around, what had started as a simple fashion endeavor blossomed into its own celebrated chain, capturing the imagination and wallets of teenage girls eager to keep up with the latest trends. The flagship store on Oxford Street was not just a shopping destination, it was an iconic landmark etched into the cultural fabric of its time. There were 4 expansive floors, each one pulsating with energetic beats that filled the air, countless mirrors reflecting eager shoppers, and Saturday afternoons so crowded that navigating through the throngs of fashion enthusiasts was a challenge in itself. When Philip Green took the helm under his Acadia Group, Topshop wasn't just a store, it was an empire in the making. The launch of the Kate Moss collection in 2007 became a cultural phenomenon, sparking frenzied scenes as customers rushed to get their hands on designs endorsed by the model herself. Topshop became synonymous with high street chic, a place where what was trending was dictated. The store's clothes regularly graced the pages of leading fashion magazines, and its dresses were a staple in the wardrobes of celebrities. However, as the industry evolved, the definition of fast fashion shifted. Competitors like ASOS and Boohoo began revolutionizing the market by releasing fresh styles every single day, coupled with the allure of next-day delivery. In contrast, Topshop's once impressive weekly updates began to feel sluggish. With the rise of digital retail, the allure of a shopping trip to Oxford Street diminished. When Arcadia Group eventually came crashing down in 2020, Topshop was swept away in the aftermath, leading to the closure of all 300 physical stores and the heartbreaking loss of thousands of jobs. Though the brand found a new life online under ASOS's wing, the tangible experience, those Saturdays spent hunting for the perfect piece, the ritual of trying on outfit after outfit amidst the snug confines of the fitting rooms, was lost to history. This nostalgic journey into retail's past reminds us of another era, taking us back to the 1980s, a time when adorning bedrooms wasn't complete without the iconic presence of Athena, signaling a blend of fashion and cultural expression. Athena, a chain that first opened its doors in 1964, was once the go-to destination for anyone looking to adorn their walls with art prints and posters. The stores, often small and emanating the distinct smell of cardboard, became a haven for art lovers. By the time the 1980s rolled around, Athena had expanded to over 160 locations. Each store was a treasure trove where thousands of poster options were displayed in metal frames. Customers would leisurely flip through these prints, searching for the perfect image to express their personality on their bedroom walls. 2 of the iconic posters from Athena were the famous tennis girl image and the striking long font poster of a muscled man tenderly holding a baby. These images were more than mere decoration, they were a declaration of identity. However, as digital photography gained popularity, people's tastes shifted dramatically. By the 1990s, personalized photography had become the norm, with many opting for personal photos over generic prints. Athena's once trendy posters began to look outdated, interesting only to a nostalgic older audience. The business, unable to keep up with changing demands, folded in 1995, though a handful of stores managed to linger until 2014. By that time, social media platforms like Instagram had revolutionized the way people express themselves, making bedroom walls essentially public. The daily digital swap-out made physical poster shops obsolete. The demise of Athena marked the end of an era of physical wall decoration, leaving our walls mostly bare and less vibrant. While Athena was busy transforming walls, our Price was weaving the soundtrack of daily life. Founded in 1971, our Price established itself as a beloved spot for music enthusiasts, selling vinyl singles and albums out of compact shops adorned in red and black. Unlike the sprawling Virgin megastores, our Price maintained a local presence, with virtually every high street hosting one of these shops. Saturday mornings were a time of excitement for music lovers, offering the chance to browse new releases and sift through boxes of 7-inch singles to snag the latest chart toppers before anyone else. Walking out with the signature red and black carrier bag was a badge of honor, signaling a successful music hunt. The staff were more than employees. They were music aficionados who knew their stock inside out and would offer personalized recommendations. Shoppers could explore new sounds through headphones provided in the store, fostering a community bound by a shared love of music. Yet, larger chains proved more powerful. Wucha. Smith acquired our Price in the 1980s, followed by Virgin, leading to a loss of the chain's independent charm. By the 1990s, this distinct atmosphere had dissipated. With the advent of MP3 technology, physical music sales plunged dramatically. Our Price was subsumed into the Virgin brand, which itself faded away by 2019. The closure brought an end to tactile music ownership, robbing us of the joy that came with purchasing and bringing home a tangible piece of music history. Meanwhile, Freeman Hardy Willis was once a ubiquitous name for shoe shopping, founded in 1875 and gracing nearly every high street for over a century. The stores offered the classic experience of getting feet measured with metal sliding devices and selecting robust leather shoes that promised longevity, particularly those sturdy school shoes meant to withstand an entire school year. By the 1970s, Freeman Hardy Willis had grown to encompass hundreds of locations under the British Shoe Corporation, providing reliable and affordable footwear. However, the winds of fashion were shifting. Cheaper imports from Asia began flooding the market, undercutting prices. Young consumers gravitated towards trendy trainers sold by sports shops like JJB, leaving Freeman Hardy Willis looking outdated. The characteristic scent of leather that filled the stores became a symbol of the old-fashioned. When the British Shoe Corporation collapsed in 1999, Freeman Hardy Willis was among its casualties. More than 500 stores closed their doors, signaling the end of Victorian retail's reign on the high street. Despite having survived the turmoil of 2 world wars, the chain could not withstand the pressures of cheap imports. While Freeman Hardy Willis provided footwear, Rumbelows catered to the growing demand for electrical appliances. Established in 1945, Rumbelows expanded in the subsequent decades, flourishing in the 1970s and 80s with more than 400 stores across the landscape, offering everything from televisions to the latest microwaves. The name Rumbelows burst into the limelight in 1990 when it took center stage as the sponsor of the renowned Football League Cup. For 2 memorable years, this prestigious tournament was dubbed the Rumbelows Cup, propelling the brand into the public eye and showering it with widespread recognition. Walking into a Rumbelows store during those years was akin to stepping into a realm of cutting-edge technology. Customers were greeted by enthusiastic sales staff eager to demonstrate the marvels of the latest gadgets. Video recorders dazzled with their ability to capture television shows for later viewing. Microwave ovens promised quick and efficient meals with the push of a button, and satellite dishes offered a new world of entertainment with channels broadcasting from far-off lands. It was a place where hard-working families could purchase their first gateway into the fast-evolving modern lifestyle. However, the electronics market was not an easy battleground. Rumbelows faced fierce competition from formidable rivals like Currys, Comet, and Dixon's, all vying for the patronage of the same customer base. The market was fiercely competitive, with numerous players jostling for position, making profit margins razor-thin. In a twist that shocked many, 1995 saw the owners, Thorn EMI, announcing a drastic and unforeseen decision that took the industry by storm. They declared that all 400 Rumbelows stores would cease operations immediately. With just one sweeping decision, the entire chain met its end, resulting in over 3,000 job losses. The rationale behind this drastic move was a strategic pivot by the corporate owners, who decided to concentrate their efforts on their radio rentals business instead. The legacy of Rumbelows, its profitable stores, and its devoted clientele were abruptly dismissed. They were deemed irrelevant in the face of shifting corporate priorities. The transition from the Rumbelows Cup to the Coca-Cola Cup was swift, marking the end of an era and erasing yet another familiar high street name. Despite this, not all stores succumbed to such fates. Some, like Littlewood's, found ways to adapt and transform, choosing evolution over extinction in an ever-changing retail landscape. Littlewoods first made its mark in Liverpool back in 1923, starting out with the innovative concept of football pools. This was a time when football pools were gaining enormous popularity, and Littlewoods capitalized on this trend. However, the company's vision extended far beyond just pools. It soon ventured into retail, where its catalog became legendary, a massive tome delivered right to your doorstep, brimming with an array of products ranging from clothing to household goods. By the swinging 60s and 70s, Littlewoods department stores were a common sight on major high streets across the nation, offering a one-stop shopping experience encompassing fashion, furniture, and toys, all the essentials under a single roof. Reflecting the spirit of Liverpool, each branch exhibited a sense of pride synonymous with its origin. Recognizing the changing tides of retail, Littlewoods astutely foresaw the future. In 2005, in a bold move that preempted inevitable transformation, they closed every high street store of their own accord and transitioned their business entirely to the digital realm, rebranding as very.co.uk. This foresight allowed them to adapt proactively to the demise of the high street retail paradigm, avoiding collapse through strategic innovation. The physical stores may have shuttered their doors, but the essence of the business continued to thrive in its new digital form. Contrastingly, Debenhams began as a humble London shop in 1778, dedicated to selling fabric and cloth. Over the centuries, it evolved into Britain's foremost department store chain. The experience of visiting a Debenhams store was iconic. Perfume counters greeted you at the entrance, and escalators whirred gently as they transported you across multiple bustling floors. The Debenhams designer range made high fashion accessible, marrying style with affordability. To many, Debenhams was a symbol of aspiration and achievement, the place where you might purchase your first job suit, pick out special wedding gifts, or indulge in a well-deserved treat. The stores possessed an air of grandeur and enchantment. Yet, this grandeur came with a price. The vast spaces with their hefty rents, coupled with high business rates and the extensive staff required to keep operations running smoothly, gradually became financially unviable. Online shopping emerged as the silent predator, dismantling the traditional department store model. Why spend time at Debenhams when platforms like ASOS offered greater convenience and variety, complete with next-day delivery? Beauty counters lost their allure against competitors like Boots and Sephora, and fashion-conscious shoppers turned to Zara and H&M. In an effort to salvage the failing chain, Sports Direct's owner, Mike Ashley, made an attempt in 2019, but the unforeseen pandemic delivered the final blow. By 2021, all 124 Debenhams stores had closed their doors for good. Boohoo subsequently acquired the brand for £55 million, but only the website remained as a testament to its storied legacy. The closure marked not just the end of Debenhams but the culmination of an era spanning over 2 centuries, where department stores had dominated British high streets. As the curtain fell on Debenhams, so too did it fall on the traditional department store model. Reflect for a moment. Which shop do you miss visiting the most, even if it wasn't mentioned here? Share your cherished memories in the comments below. And if this journey through Britain's retail history has resonated with you, subscribe to our channel to keep these memories alive and treasured for generations to come.